control mechanism called debt from the earliest of ages. The idea is to make, and my goodness me, are we seeing it or what? To make every country interdependent on every other country, so no one country or one region has independence from the global system over which that country or region has no control. Any independent country, they're trying to pick them off, and they are picking them off. And so what you have is these bloodlines, which the secret society network goes under the term of Illuminati, the illuminated ones, where they use a name at all, that is. When you see all these companies and corporations around the world, they have different names, but ultimately they're controlled by the same families, and they're one corporation. And the idea is to put humanity in a prison of surveillance, control, and microchipping, and limitation of potential and choice that means that they become nothing more than slaves to this elite on a scale which even now we haven't even begun to see. Well, now it gets bloody interesting. I love this bit. So, who are they? Who are they? Who is this non-human race that all these ancient cultures and legends talk about, interbred with humanity to create this hybrid bloodline and indeed change the genetics of the human form? Well, over the last 10, 12 years, this information started to come in, and it's coming all over the world now. The key ones seem to take a reptilian form. And, of course, we decode a tiny frequency range within infinity, and we think that we know it all. And because it's different to what we are used to, then it can't exist. It must be crazy. It's an interesting fact that if you want to control people's perception of what's possible, then you just limit the information they receive about what is possible. It's real simple. And then they'll believe what's possible is what they've been told is possible. And so they will dismiss by reflex action, laugh and snigger at something that is happening just because it's different, because they're stuck in mind. Now, DNA is a software program. It holds different information, just like different software programs do. And this hybrid DNA, this reptilian human DNA, shall we say, the royal bloodlines and the other effects on all of us, although lesser than the pure ones, is a software program which is information, which therefore affects not only the way we perceive reality, it affects the way we decode reality. And I would say firewalls the computer in the way I was talking earlier. And it's interesting, the fall of man, symbolically, was caused by what? A snake. And what, I was on a Christian radio station last year, and they were going on, this reptilian's a load of rubbish. I said, really? Do you believe the Bible? Oh, I believe the Bible. I said, well, do you think the snake in the Garden of Eden, the serpent in the Garden of Eden, was literally a snake talking to Adam and Eve? Do you actually believe that was exactly what it is? Or do you think it might be symbolic for something else? And it kind of did make some of them think, oh, well, hold on a second, yeah. And it's funny how, people dismiss some of the things that people think because they're crazy, and then again, it's cognitive dissonance. They don't look at what they're saying. I'm not saying they shouldn't believe it. Believe what you like. It's a human right. But, please look at your own beliefs before you start writing off others as crazy. And what this interbreeding did was affect the human DNA, and it put a bigger reptilian input into it. And interestingly, the caduceus, which is now the symbol of the medical profession, is a symbol of the DNA and enlightenment, kundalini and all that stuff, and it's symbolized as snakes. And the snake symbolism and the serpent symbolism around the world is absolutely unbelievable. Before I got into this, I wasn't aware of it, but of course you do research and you follow it through. The serpent symbolism in religions and cultures and bloodlines and origins of kings and queens all over the world is absolutely staggering. This is a painting of one of these reptilian entities from ancient modern descriptions, although there are many versions, just like they are humans, by Credo Mutwa, the Zulu shaman, who I'll get to shortly. And this is a symbolic painting by Neil Haig of this hybrid bloodline. And they became known also as the demigods, part human, part God, because of this interbreeding. And this change in the DNA, again the snake, did something to the human form and its ability to connect. I would suggest, the more that I go into this, and I'm gathering more and more information all the time by the day now, it seems to be this area is coming into my life a lot. It's like firewalling off a computer to limit what it can perceive and decode. And for me, the fall of man, as it is described, was a fall down the frequencies, or at least a fall down the range of frequencies that we could perceive as a matter of course. Because, of course, you'll see cats and other animals reacting to what is to us empty space. What's the cat doing? There's nothing there. Well, there is to the cat, because it's got a wider visual frequency range it can access. It sees more than we do. That's why it's reacting to what is to us empty space. And this firewall affected, because it was affecting the DNA, which is the receiver-transmitter, and the crystalline system also, our ability to decode reality. And therefore make it more difficult to hold a connection to consciousness while we're in this mind reality, this virtual reality. And so for me anyway, people just have to make their own minds up on this stuff, it's just information. The exclusion from the garden, symbolically, something else that you find around the world, not just in the Bible, long before the Bible, the exclusion of Adam and Eve from the garden was the exclusion from realities that that humans could access before, because Adam and Eve is symbolic of a human form, that not kind of individuals necessarily. Now, the worship of the serpent, official mainstream science and anthropology, is the oldest form of worship. It's been taken back so far 70,000 years, which certainly fits, and then some, with the Sumerian tablets timescale of when the Anunnaki came. These tablets connect the Anunnaki to their kings going back 240,000 years. Because this golden age wasn't, a week on Tuesday and within an hour in the month. It was a long period of life on earth, which history has shut out, official history. And 70,000 years ago, people in South Africa, what called the Sand people, the Bush people, Bushmen, were worshipping the serpent as a god. And all these different groups in these different cultures, when you go into it, you go, oh my goodness me, you had no idea till you look at this, how universal this was. The Druids, they worshipped a serpent god called Hu. And so Hu-man actually translates in that interpretation as serpent man. And the under different names, the serpent gods and the serpent god are just universal. Now, in the same area where Sumer, this very advanced civilization, appeared around 4000 BC, something like that, through to 2000 BC around then. Before that, in the same area of Mesopotamia, was something called the Ubaid people, the Ubaid culture. And in their graves have been found these serpent images of their gods, and many of them are holding babies, like the mother and child, which will become maybe interesting later on. It's also interesting that these reptilian gods were supposed to have elongated skulls. And again, as seen in that image from the Ubaid period, thousands and thousands of years BC. And there have been skulls found that have this incredible elongated skull. And there's another one there, the skull that was found. And the Egyptians, for instance, among others, they depicted their